It's a great day to be in real estate. This is Duanebeisner, sales manager and sales representative for ERA Real Estate. Thanks for joining me today for the quote of the day from Judy Garland. Be a first-rate version of yourself, not a second-rate version of someone else. And for my joke of the day, a fellow bought a brand new Mercedes and was out on the interstate for a nice evening drive. The top was down, the breeze was blowing through what was left of his hair, and he decided to open her up. As the needle jumped up to 80 miles per hour, he suddenly saw a flashing red and blue light behind him. There's no way they can catch a Mercedes, he thought to himself, so he opened up a little further. Needle hit 90, 100. Then the reality of the situation hit him. What am I doing? He thought, and he pulled over. The cop came up to him, took his license without a word, examined it and the car, and said, you know, it's been a long day. This is the end of my shift, and it's Friday the 13th. I don't feel like more paperwork, so if you can give me an excuse for your driving that I haven't heard before, you can go. The guy thinks for a second and says, well, last week my wife ran off with a cop, and I was afraid you were trying to give her back. Have a nice weekend, said the officer. For the business tip of the day, momentum has a lot to do with sales success. Do whatever you have to do each day to get jump-started with prospecting, because after the first few calls, it gets much easier and more interesting. Think about that. For the Darwin Award of the day, in late fall and early winter months, snow-covered mountains, become infested with hunters. One ambitious pair climbed high up into a mountain in search of their quarry. The trail crossed a small glacier that had crusted over. The lead hunter had to stomp a foothold in the snow, one step at a time, in order to cross the glacier. Somewhere near the middle of the glacier, his next stomp hit not snow but a rock. The lead hunter lost his footing and fell. Down the crusty glacier he zipped, off the edge and out of sight. Unable to help, his companion watched him slide away. After a while, he shouted out, "Are you okay?" "Yes," came the answer. So reasoning it was a quick way off of the glacier, the second hunter plopped down and accelerated down the ice, following his friend. There, just over the edge of the glacier, was his friend, holding on to the top of a tree that barely protruded from the snow. There were no other tree tops nearby, nothing to grab, nothing but a 100-foot drop onto the rocks below. As the second hunter shot past the first, he uttered his final epitaph, a single word, which we can't utter lest our mothers wash out our mouths with soap. Now for the social commentary. First of all, I do have to say I hope the world champion Lakers actually show up tonight, mentally as well as physically. And I have to say that last game was pathetic. But on to bigger and better things. Jim Joyce was named the baseball's best umpire, despite his recent blown call. Right or wrong, it's a tendency of fans to only notice an umpire when he blows a big call. I would have assumed baseball players might evaluate in a similar manner, but it looks like their close proximity and also their recent frequent exposure to the game's officials actually allows a more fair and balanced view of the group. After all, how else can you explain Jim Joyce being voted the game's best umpire in a survey of 100 big league players conducted after he cost Armando that they've ever spent at work. At the same time, C.B. Bucknor and Cowboy Joe West were named the game's worst umpires by the player. You know what, though? I have to say to myself, this is BS. If you or I did what Jim Joyce did during that blown perfect game, we'd be fired. I'm sorry, but I can't stomach him being voted the best umpire with such a colossal mistake. How about bringing in the process for reviewing calls like in the NFL? Just a thought. So for the real estate news, is a housing shortage coming? Some experts say that the next big real estate problem could be a shortage of homes. Only 672,000 new homes were started in April, and that's less than half the number needed to meet the country's average population growth. In the past, an average of more than 1.3 million households have been built each year, creating demand for 1.5 million new homeowners. In 2009, only 398,000 new homes were formed, according to the Census Bureau. The decline in household formation is artificial, says James Gaines, a real estate economist with Texas A&M. The young are moving in with their parents. There's even doubling up among the working class people. There's a pent-up demand coming if and when the economy recovers. Some economists believe this analysis fails to take into account the changing economy or the large inventory of vacant properties, but Gaines and others say that these factors are unlikely to significantly drive down demand. So that would mean, obviously, that at some point we'll see definitely uptick in prices as more people are buying. And this is interesting. International news. Century 21 China anticipates that the market is going to cool down. Beijing-based Century 21 China announced Monday that it is buying 11 real estate brokerages in the Bao'an district of Shenzhen in China. The Chinese government has been cooling the housing market on purpose to avoid a possible boom and bust cycle, sort of like what we experienced. Century 21 China CEO Donald Zhang said the company is positioning itself to expand when housing normalizes. Interesting to note that Century 21 China network covers 35 major cities with more than 1,200 sales offices and more than 17,500 sales professionals and staff and more than 5.6 million property listings. Wow, as of March 31st, 2010. Anyway, as I always say, this is the best buyer's market you and I will ever see in our lifetime. If you or anybody you know is thinking about moving, call us at ERA. We can help you anywhere in the world. We have global reach. And if you're thinking about getting into real estate, give me a call. I'd love to talk with you. This is Duane signing off. Happy trails to you. As always, proud to be an American. Thank you for watching.